Mike Tyson, one of the greatest boxers who ever lived, $400 million earned in his career, and by 2003, $23 million in debt. Not just broke, in debt. How does that even happen? And more importantly, what does it have to do with you? He bought mansions, exotic tigers, a fleet of luxury cars, and a $2 million bathtub. Yeah, a bathtub. $2 million. So today, we are going to find out exactly why that happened, using 5 lessons from one of the most important books ever written. And by the end of this, you will understand your own finances differently forever. But here is the real question. Why do some people earning $50,000 retire richer than people making 6 figures? The answer is not income. It is not even discipline. It is psychology. Today, 5 lessons from The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Let us get into it. Lesson 1. You are not fully in control. We love to believe that if we just work hard enough and make the right choices, success is guaranteed. But luck and risk play a far bigger role than anyone wants to admit. And understanding this changes everything about how you handle both success and failure. Bill Gates went to one of the only high schools in the entire country that had a computer in the 1960s. One lucky break. He worked hard and he was brilliant, but would his story be the same if he had been born in a different city? Almost certainly not. Luck is not a dirty word, it's just honest. Bill Gates had a best friend named Kent Evans. Same intelligence, same obsession with computers, same dreams as Gates. But before they could graduate, Kent died in a mountaineering accident. Same starting point, completely different outcome. Not because of skill, not because of effort, because of chance. Jesse Livermore, one of the greatest stock traders of all time, made millions, lost everything, made it back, then lost everything again permanently when the Great Depression hit. Success is never 100% skill, and failure is never 100% stupidity. External forces exist. They affect everyone. So here's what you actually do with this lesson. When something goes well for you, take 30 seconds to ask honestly how much of that was skill and how much was luck. Not to feel bad about it, but to stay humble enough to protect what you have. The people who acknowledge luck stay humble. Humble people play defense. Defense keeps the money. Lesson 2. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy are completely different skills. We love stories of people who made it big, but have you noticed a lot of those people lose it just as fast? Because getting rich requires one mindset, and staying wealthy requires the exact opposite mindset, and most people never make that switch. Getting rich requires taking risks other people are too scared to take. Think about Bezos quitting his Wall Street job to sell books online when everyone thought he was crazy. Musk putting everything from PayPal into Tesla and nearly going broke. Every great success story has a moment where they bet big. That is offense. That is how you get there. But here's where almost everyone goes wrong. Once they get money, they keep playing offense. They keep taking wild risks. They assume the money will keep coming forever, and then it collapses. Staying wealthy requires the complete opposite: humility, patience, knowing when to stop gambling, switching from offense to defense. Sam Bankman-Fried built FTX into one of the biggest crypto exchanges in just a few years. At his peak, $26 billion. He never switched to defense. He kept over-leveraging, kept taking wild risks. In 2022, bankrupt and arrested. From $26 billion to nothing, because he kept playing offense after winning. Compare that to Warren Buffett, worth over $100 billion, but he's never taken crazy risks. He hates losing money more than he loves making it. His strategy: survive long enough and wealth takes care of itself. Boring, consistent defense over 60+ years. That is why he's still in the game. Lesson 3. Save money for freedom, not for things. I know what you're thinking. Here comes the boring stop buying coffee speech. This is not that. See, most people think of saving as delayed spending. I will save so I can buy a nicer car later. But real wealth is not about buying more things. It's about buying freedom. I know someone who got stuck in a terrible job, toxic workplace, boss from hell, but he couldn't leave. Why? Zero savings, living paycheck to paycheck. Compare that to someone else who saved aggressively for a few years. When his job started draining his life out of him, he walked away. No stress, no panic, just, I'm out. The difference was savings. There's a name for this, the FU fund, a pile of money that gives you the power to walk away from bad situations. Terrible job? You can leave. Landlord raises the rent? You have options. Toxic relationship with a boss? You can go. You don't need to be a millionaire. Even 6 months of expenses saved puts you in a completely different position in life.
Here's the problem. Saving is invisible. Spending is loud. You get a new car and people notice. You post it and everyone hypes you up. But saving? Nobody sees it. Nobody claps for the person who quietly transferred $500 into their emergency fund. But that quiet transfer might be the most powerful financial move you made all month. The richest people in the world are not focused on buying expensive things. They are focused on buying back their time. Because the best thing money can buy is not needing more money. When savings removes the question mark from your daily life, that is real wealth. Not the car, not the watch, the absence of financial worry. Quick pause before we get into the final 2 lessons, and these are the ones that will genuinely change how you see money every single day. Hit subscribe before we continue. Every week, I break down the ideas from books and research that actually change how you think about wealth. It costs nothing. Now, let us get into Lesson 4, because this is where it gets really interesting. Lesson 4. Wealth is what you do not see. In 2014, there was a man named Ronald Reed. Regular guy, worked at a gas station for years, then as a janitor, drove an old beaten-up car, wore the same modest clothes every day, nothing flashy. People walked past him without a second thought. Then, Ronald Reed died at 92 years old and left behind $8 million. $8 million that nobody knew about. Where did a janitor get $8 million? Turns out, while everyone else was performing wealth, Ronald Reed was quietly building it for decades, completely invisibly. Wealth is the money you do not spend. That is the whole lesson right there. Think about someone driving a $300,000 Ferrari. All you know is they spent $300,000. You have absolutely no idea what they have left. Wealth is invisible. Spending is not the same thing as having money. That's why Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958, not because he can't afford a mansion. He could buy 10,000 mansions. He lives there because he understands the difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. $100 billion in the bank, $300,000 home. He gets it. Looking wealthy is easy. Swipe a credit card, finance a car, buy expensive clothes. Anyone can look wealthy. Being wealthy is about what you do not see. Some people buy things. Others buy freedom. That is the only difference between the person earning 6 figures and struggles and the person earning less who retires comfortably. Lesson 5. Emotions matter more than math. Here's the truth that most financial advice completely ignores. Money is not just numbers. It's feelings. Experts talk about money like it's cold, hard math, but we're not robots. We are emotional creatures, and our emotions make us do very irrational things with money. You're investing. The most rational plan is to put money in and never touch it. But then the market drops 40%. Suddenly, the logical plan feels completely wrong. Your emotions take over. You panic, you sell, and congratulations, you just locked in your losses. This happens to millions of smart people every market crash. Here's a crucial distinction. Rational thinking says, this strategy has the highest return over 50 years, so I'll stick to it no matter what. Reasonable thinking says, this strategy makes sense, but I know I'll panic in a downturn, so I'll keep some cash to feel secure. One is perfect in theory, the other works in real life. The best plan is the one you can actually stick with. There's another emotional trap that gets people: analysis paralysis. I know someone who spent 2 years researching the perfect investment, hours of research every week, read every finance book, tried to optimize every dollar. And you know what happened? He never actually invested anything. Meanwhile, someone else just put money in a simple index fund and never looked at it again. Guess who won? Warren Buffett doesn't have the mathematically highest returning strategy. He doesn't invest in crypto or high-risk speculative tech stocks. Why? Because he invests in a way that lets him sleep at night. He stays reasonable, not just rational. Boring wins because boring is sustainable. That's why he's still in the game after 60+ years. Here's one practical tool from Lesson 5, the pre-committed rule. When the market is crashing and everything feels terrible, that's not the time to make decisions. So make the rule before the emotion hits. Write it down right now. If the market drops more than 20%, I will contribute an extra $100 that month. Decide the rule in advance, then follow it automatically. Now let's go back to Mike Tyson. $400 million earned, $23 million in debt. Now you understand exactly why. He violated every single one of the 5 lessons. He ignored luck and risk, thinking his skill alone explained everything. He never switched from offense to defense. He saved for things, not freedom. He performed instead of built, and his emotions drove every financial decision. Here's what could have been. $400 million earned, 20% invested automatically from day one, defense mode switched on after the first big win, invisible wealth built quietly over years, reasonable emotional decisions made. That $400 million could have become generational wealth. Instead, a $2 million bathtub and $23 million in debt. Here's the one thing most people walk away from financial content without ever really understanding. The goal is not to get rich. The goal is to never worry about money again. Those are completely different targets, and only one of them actually makes your life better. The other just changes what you worry about.
And here is the final hidden lesson woven through the entire book. The single most important financial skill is not picking stocks. It is not budgeting. It is not even earning more. It is getting the goalpost to stop moving, deciding what is enough. Because a person who knows what enough looks like can never be truly poor. So, before we go into the practical actions, one question to answer right now. What is enough for you? Not for someone on social media, not for the Forbes list, for you. Write it down. A specific number, a specific feeling, a specific life. Because the moment you define enough, you have already won half the financial game. Here is your first practical action from today. For the next 30 days, practice the Ronald Reed approach. Do not tell anyone about your savings progress. Do not post about it. Do not perform it. Just quietly build. Do the work in private. Let the results speak in 30 years. Invisible wealth is real wealth. Second practical action. Stop trying to find the perfect investment. This week, make one simple decision. Set up an automatic monthly contribution to a broad market index fund. Any amount, even $20 a month. Because $20 a week invested consistently from age 25 at 8% average annual return becomes over $200,000 by retirement. Not from being rich, from being consistent. Here is what actually changes when you apply all 5 lessons. You stop comparing your path to other people's highlight reels. You stop performing wealth and start building it. You stop panicking when markets move and start trusting your reasonable plan. You stop asking, how do I get rich? And start asking, how do I stay rich once I get there? All right, we have covered a lot, but information without action is useless. And if this video helped you, do yourself one favor. Take one action today, not this weekend, today. The best time to start was yesterday. The second best time is right now. 5 lessons. You are not fully in control. Stay humble. Getting wealthy and staying wealthy are different skills. Switch to defense. Save for freedom, not things. Build the FU fund. Wealth is invisible. Stop performing, start building. Emotions matter. Find the plan you can actually stick with. That is the psychology of money. If these ideas resonated, read the book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel.
It is one of the most important personal finance books ever written. Not because it tells you what to invest in, but because it tells you how to think about money in a way that actually works with human nature, not against it. Drop a comment right now. Which of the 5 lessons hit closest to home for you? Lesson 1 through 5. I read every single comment, and honestly, knowing which lessons land hardest helps me make better content for you. Your answer might be exactly what the next person watching needed to hear. Here is your closing challenge. Before you close this video, open your Notes app. Write 2 lines. Line 1, which lesson hit closest to me personally? Line 2, the one specific action I am taking in the next 24 hours. Not a vague intention, a specific action. People who write it down are statistically more likely to do it. 2 lines, right now. Remember Mike Tyson and the $2 million bathtub at the start? Now you see the full picture. The bathtub was not the problem. The bathtub was just the result. The problem was the psychology. 5 lessons he never learned. 5 mistakes compounding on each other. The same psychology is playing out right now in the financial decisions of millions of people. It does not have to play out in yours. If this video helped you think about money differently, hit the like button right now. It genuinely helps the channel and tells the algorithm that this kind of content is worth sharing. There's someone in your life right now who needs to understand these 5 lessons. The like button gets this video in front of them. Subscribe for more videos like this. Every week, I break down the ideas from books, research, and real financial stories that actually change how you think about money. Not just what to do, but how to think. Because how you think is everything. The Psychology of Money. 5 lessons, 1 complete change in how you see wealth. Go apply one today. And remember, it was never about the 400 million. It was always about the psychology.